Hello, I am Frodo and this is our another budget deck tech. The one for today is the one I was waiting for a long time. I tried to work out the best build for Rat Colony, which is just hilarious card. There isn't a better feeling than this you feel while you jank out your opponent, well at least for me. In this build we want to make our rats unblockable. Combination of Tetsuko and rats is great, but it is not enough. We are going to work this out throughout this deck tech. So let's head to the brewery. I will begin with our most important creature. It is Rat Colony. We can have as many of them as we want. I wanted 22 and I think it is enough. It is a 2/1 creature for 2 and it gets +1/+0 for every rat we control. Having this much of them in the deck might make them a big threat. That is why we also have 4 copies of Tetsuko. This creature makes winning a lot easier for us. Thanks to this card, our creatures that have 1 power or toughness can't be blocked, and that is each of our creatures actually. This means that if we have this and let's say 3 rats, we can get into 12 unblockable damage. It is just crazy, and this number grows with every rat we have, and we have a plenty. This is a card we should cast when we already have some rats ready to attack. Then we apply Tetsuko and kill our opponent in surprise unblockable attack. We also include 2 copies of Oval Chase Dragster. This is a card you might drop for 2 more rats, but it Heaven Haste and 1 toughness works really well with Tetsuko, as not only it is unblockable, but also can be crew by this card. We have 2 copies and we have to draw it in the mid to late game to hit 6 out of nowhere. I believe it is worth keeping in the list. What is one of the most important pieces of this build is Secret Salvage. We have all 4 copies of it. It is absurd in this build. It lets us refill our hand with 7 rats at its best. So we get to draw 7 cards we actually always need for just 5 mana. If we would need Tetsuko and it's in graveyard, we can tutor it up, but the best use of it is refilling our hand with rats. The one card that I also think is more than important is Bontu's Monument. It is a 3 mana artifact. It makes our rats 1-drops, so if we cast Monument on turn 3, we can cast up to 4 rats turn 4 and drain our opponent for 4. Now combine it with hand refill thanks to Secret Salvage and it gives us really great synergy. The last non-land card we have is Key to the City. It is a card which kinda does it all for us. We make one of our creatures unblockable, we can filter additional monuments we don't need, or it gives us Secret Salvage target by discarding a rat. What is more, it is also a draw engine for us. We have 2 copies of it in our build. In our mana base we have 4 drowned catacombs, 5 islands and 12 swamps. This combination gives us 9 sources of blue mana, while we need just 1 a game, and that should do it. We also have 2 copies of Field of Ruin to destroy important lands that our opponent might have. We really don't wanna see Flipped Compass or Search for Ascantia. Now let's head to the sideboard. 4 copies of Duress against control decks. 4 copies of Supernatural Stamina against strategies that contain a lot of removal and creatures we want to trade with without consequences. 3 negates against planeswalkers and control cards. And 4 copies of Ruin Rat against decks with a lot of creatures. It is a rat, as you might have guessed, so it makes our rat colonies bigger and has Death Touch, so it might stop some big creatures from attacking. Maybe some solid removal would be better in this sideboard slot, but let's be honest, we want rats, that's why we are here. The most important thing for our deck while playing against white builds is to always be ready to react to Ixalan's Binding. For this we have 4 copies of Duress and 3 negates that should be able to get rid of Ixalan's Binding, because when it enters and takes our rat, we are pretty much out of the game. Normally we don't see all 4 copies of it in a build, so 7 cards against it should do it. If it is a common card in your meta, include more negates or other counterspells. We don't really care about different removals, as we have many ways to restore our board state rapidly. Ixalan's Binding is the issue. I don't think I would like to add anything non-budget to this build. Metallic Mimic is great in non-Tetsuko builds, but we need our creatures to have 1 toughness to be unblockable, and Mimic goes in different strategy. You may also consider Black-White build with Radiant Destinies and Vanquisher's Banners to make your rats as big as it's possible and draw some more cards. Black-White build is also less vulnerable to binding, as it can bind opponent's binding, but I prefer blue-black version of rats. And that is all for today's budget deck tech. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If that is so, support the channel by hitting this like and subscribe buttons below. See you soon, guys!